I'd like to dedicate this video to Brian McMorran. Brian used to come on our gravel rides and was a very likeable guy. We were all very sorry to hear of his passing. R.I.P. Brian. We met up at Comrie Croft for this gravel ride, and a couple of the boys had some new toys with them in the shape of new specialised and white gravel mistresses. It's fair to say that they were both rather excited.
Jim up for you, they look fast and clean. And the white. How's your legs going to be today, big man?
I hope they're better now that the bike.
The road out to Glen Artney is around 5 miles long and it has a few wee tasty climbs. This helped to heat our legs up for the main event of the day, the gravel climb at Arravura. We had a dozen keen souls on the day and set off through the town of Comrie, past the culty Braggin camp and over the rolling single track road. I decided to change the route start and finish point to front load the climbing, as the climb through Glen Artney is quite challenging and I thought it might be better having it towards the start of the day rather than the end. I asked the lads to endure feeding the local midges for an extra couple of minutes so that I could climb some of the hill in front of them and set the drone up and hopefully capture the joy in their faces as they made their way skywards. We had a mixture of 6 regulars and 6 newcomers for this ride, and everyone got along famously, with the virgins all keeping up with their pace effortlessly. In total, if setting off from Comrie, you'll climb for around 10 miles out of the 18 miles to calendar. On the off-road section you're climbing for around 3 miles over a distance of 5 miles and the gradient tops out at 17.2%, so it's fair to say that there's a wee bit of work in it. Disappointingly, I've had to send my 360 camera back to Hong Kong again for repair, so all footage in this video was captured on the GoPros and on the drone. It's amazing how many shots you miss because you only get out what you point the GoPro at, rather than being able to reframe the captured footage during the editing process. I'm not missing the additional editing time, but I do hope it's back soon. I was pleased to have a wee break halfway up the climb as I filmed the lads and thanked them when they had waited for me towards the top.
That's another good bit for the drone, so I'll just crack on again. Give me 2 minutes.
You want to go all the way to the bottom or you want to meet the bottom?
No, I'll stop before the bottom.
This is another good place to get the drone up and catch a group dropping down into the dip before crossing the wee river and then starting the next climb. This was the road that I was hoping to catch the lads descending. If you're enjoying this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. It really would be most appreciated. From the YouTube feedback information I get, only 40% of viewers are subscribed. Don't be that guy, help a brother out. Thanks. If you'd like to try any of these routes, you can pick up the GPX files if you subscribe to Strava by following me at Douglas Gilligan RACC. I always feel a little bit guilty in asking the group to stop so that I can get in front of them to capture footage for these videos. I hope it's not too much of an inconvenience, and I'd like to thank everyone for their patience for indulging me and allowing me to do so. Most people seem to enjoy seeing themselves on the bike though, and I suppose that's the payoff. This is now my 200th video, and I'd like to thank everyone who subscribed to the channel. We're always looking for new routes, so if anyone has any suggestions, just drop me a comment on this or any other video.
Good lad, cheers man. Whew. I forgot about that wee bit until I hit it. Right. Aye. You in love again, Stevie? Is that you in love?
The forecast was for the weather to have improved by now, but unfortunately it hadn't, so we weren't able to enjoy the scenery around the Bothy area, which is really quite stunning. For those who haven't seen it, here is some footage from a previous ride. If any of you decide to do this ride, I hope you get a good day for it with good visibility. When I can find some time, I think I'll start adding routes to Comrie, as I get a lot of requests for GPX files. We'd also be delighted to hear from anyone who would like to lead us on a route around their local gravel trails. This is quite a bumpy section of the route, and Stevie's saddlebag spewed up its contents a couple of times. Thankfully, eagle-eyed Danny spotted the 15 quid which Stevie had noticed was missing, and he'd come back towards us to try and find it. There are some steep climbs on this route, and my legs felt sore just looking at Andy's gearing. How he manages to get round with his bike choices and sandals is really beyond me. He's some man. After the rough descent from the Bothy to the farm, you hit a nice smooth tarmac road which climbs a little before descending steeply down into Calendar. Neil Nesbitt, one of our regulars, had given me some options for lunch in Calendar, and it's fair to say that we were all ready for it. We dropped down into the town where the food options include bakeries, cafes and supermarkets. We plumped for the Riverside Inn. There were quite a few tempting offers on the menu, and we were all well fed and watered. With the motorbikes and cars repeatedly driving up and down the main street, it wasn't a quiet lunch stop. Brett had a tyre pressure issue, and he popped into the local outdoor shop next door to blow up his tyre. With his tyre reinflated, Chris then discovered that he also had an issue, just as we were ready to go. This one ended up being a sidewall hole in a tubeless tyre, so it took 2 attempts and a little bit more fixing. Normally when we're out we don't mention the P word. I had unfortunately neglected to mention this in my pre-ride preamble, and Chris, one of our group virgins, said the word. I'm not entirely blaming Chris for our tyre pressure issues on the day, but we did have 3 of them. I'll leave you to decide if this was coincidental or not. Following our extended lunch, we set off along the banks of the Falls of Lenny towards Loch Lubnaig. Regular viewers will know that this is part of one of our favourite routes, the out and back from Calendar to Killin. We usually try to hit this route during every season, and it's always a pleasure to ride, skirting Loch Lubnaig, Loch Foyle and climbing Glen Artney. This would be a great route for anyone getting into gravel riding, as it's an out and back so the navigation is easy and the road surfaces are a mix of gravel, cycle path and road. At this point, as we skirted Loch Lubnig, the weather finally caught up with the forecast and the sun made a very welcome appearance. As I caught up with the group, I noticed that Stevie had had a wee tumble on the switchbacks. I offered him a plaster, but he assured me that it was only a flesh wound and that he had had worse. Now where have I heard that before? Why has a black night suddenly sprung to mind? After putting the invite out for this ride, I wondered if I'd been a little ambitious with the distance involved. I haven't done as much so far this year and just had a few nagging doubts. Because of this, I decided to miss out the Loch Foyle Balquidder section and take the Strathire cycle path, which is flatter and more direct. Danny asked me to edit out this gap, so hopefully none of you will have noticed that he was toiling a wee bit. We were once again a little disappointed not to see any wild beaver on this ride, but we did see their dam, which is just on the right here. Both Stevie and Chris looked like they were having fun with their new mistresses, and Carl and Steve seemed to be enjoying the route while slagging each other to death. At this point we left the NCN7 and cycled for about half a mile down the A84 before turning right along the small single track road which follows the south shore of Loch Artney. This road rolls and rolls and rolls for 6 miles to the east end of the loch at St Fillan's. It offers some lovely views across the loch, which help to take our mind off the fairly strong easterly headwind. Big Brett seemed to be enjoying his day even after putting in a big shift on his mountain bike on the Saturday. We then climbed up above the old railway line in St Fillan's and I again felt sorry for Big Andy. He must have been putting out about 500 watts through the soles of those sandals to make it up the climb. This section is reclaimed railway line and the nice and flat terrain was very welcome as the miles started to rack up. On reflection, I enjoyed this route more starting in Comrie and felt fresher at the end than I have done starting and finishing in Callinger. I was delighted to prove my fears unfounded and it was great to get a longer ride in. Thanks to all the new lads who turned up, I hope you all enjoyed it and don't be strangers. And as for all the regulars, it was great to get out with you guys again. Here's to our next group ride. Towards the end of the ride, Big Andy completed the third of our tyre pressure issues and had to pump up a not so slow puncture several times. He told us just to crack on as he knows the route and he arrived back not long after us, so his sandals must have been working furiously.
Nice to meet you. Good. Well done. Done well today. Good. How's the wind? Oh, look at that breath. I tell you what, didn't even greet once. I saw him, he was biting his lip at one point. Aye, good to see you, big man. That's a pity about that, but nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah. Good ride out.
We're well in, buddy. Alright, shame about you.
Oh yeah, sorry about the
issue.
Sorry about the delay.
The long lunch.
Oh, God.
Mate said cheerio.
Alright, I'll phone him.
Was it Mark? You said his
Mark,
name was Mark. Well done to you. Easy peasy.
And right by the numbers, we covered 47 miles with 2,800 feet of climbing.